10 female weaknesses every man must know. Stoicism. Stoicism teaches the importance of understanding human nature and embracing virtue, wisdom, courage, and self-control. When it comes to relationships or interactions between men and women, it's not about labeling traits as weaknesses, but rather understanding the nuances of human emotions and behaviors. In a Stoic sense, it's key to recognize that everyone has strengths and vulnerabilities. While there may be general differences in how men and women might respond to challenges or emotional situations, a Stoic approach would encourage empathy, patience, and understanding rather than judgment. For instance, women might be more emotionally expressive at times or be more concerned with nurturing relationships, which could be seen as emotional strengths rather than weaknesses. On the other hand, understanding and addressing vulnerabilities, whether emotional, mental, or physical, can help build stronger relationships grounded in respect and shared values. From a Stoic perspective, it's not about identifying weaknesses in others, but about focusing on one's own virtues, maintaining self-control, and practicing wisdom in interactions with others. Understanding and accepting human differences while striving for personal growth can lead to a more harmonious connection between individuals. Chapter 1. Emotional reactivity, the nature of intense feelings. In Stoicism, one of the core principles is the ability to remain calm and composed, regardless of external circumstances. Emotional reactivity, where someone responds impulsively to emotional triggers, is something that both men and women can experience. Stoics believe that while emotions are a natural part of the human experience, it's essential to cultivate control over them. Reacting impulsively to emotions can lead to unnecessary turmoil, misunderstanding, and regrettable actions. A Stoic would encourage not suppressing emotions, but rather understanding them, allowing time to reflect before responding, and choosing to act from a place of reason and wisdom rather than being ruled by temporary feelings. In relationships, emotional reactivity can sometimes manifest as outbursts, defensiveness, or even withdrawal. Rather than viewing emotional intensity as a weakness, Stoicism teaches us to embrace it as a signal to reflect and understand our deeper needs and concerns. The practice of emotional awareness and self-control allows individuals to respond with greater clarity and compassion. Instead of letting emotions control our behavior, we can learn to choose responses that align with our values, fostering healthier communication and stronger, more resilient connections. Chapter 2. Over-attachment to external validation. Stoicism teaches that true self-worth comes from within, not from external sources. An over-attachment to external validation, such as seeking constant approval or praise from others, can create insecurity and dependence. When someone's self-esteem is reliant on how others perceive them, they can become vulnerable to disappointment and self-doubt. The Stoic ideal encourages focusing on developing inner virtues like wisdom, courage, and justice, rather than seeking validation from the outside world. By strengthening internal values, individuals can find a sense of fulfillment that isn't contingent on others' opinions, leading to a more stable and resilient sense of self. In relationships, this over-attachment to validation can manifest as a constant need for reassurance, affection, or recognition. The Stoic perspective suggests that both men and women should strive to build self-esteem independent of external approval. This doesn't mean rejecting praise or affection, but rather acknowledging that true contentment comes from within, and we should seek growth and validation based on our own actions and principles. By nurturing internal confidence and focusing on personal development, individuals can create more balanced and self-sufficient relationships, where mutual respect and understanding thrive rather than relying on constant external affirmation. Chapter 3. Fear of rejection. A common vulnerability. Fear of rejection is a deeply human experience that can prevent individuals from fully expressing themselves or pursuing their goals. Stoicism teaches that rejection, while difficult, is not something to be feared or avoided, rather than seeing it as a personal failure or a reflection of one's worth. The Stoic approach encourages individuals to view rejection as a natural part of life that should be accepted with grace. Stoics believe that by detaching from the outcome and focusing on what is within our control, our actions, our character and our efforts, we can weather rejection without allowing it to derail our emotional well-being. In relationships, the fear of rejection can lead to avoidance of vulnerability, strained communication, or even self-sabotage. By embracing a Stoic mindset, both men and women can learn to confront rejection with resilience and use it as an opportunity for growth. Instead of letting the fear of rejection dictate behavior, the Stoic perspective emphasizes acting with integrity and courage, regardless of the potential outcome. This mindset fosters emotional strength, helping individuals to approach both personal and romantic relationships with an open heart, unburdened by the fear of being turned away. Chapter 4. Tendency to overanalyze. Overanalyzing situations is a common response to uncertainty, but Stoicism teaches that constantly dwelling on what could happen or what might go wrong can be a source of unnecessary stress. The Stoic approach encourages focusing on the present moment and only reflecting on the things we can control, rather than getting lost in hypothetical scenarios. Overthinking often leads to confusion, inaction, and a cycle of worry, which distracts from clear decision-making and emotional clarity. A Stoic would advocate for a calm, measured approach, focusing on rational thoughts and avoiding excessive speculation about the future. In relationships, overanalyzing can create tension, misunderstandings, or unnecessary emotional turmoil. When both partners fall into the trap of overthinking, it can lead to misinterpretation of words or actions, creating issues that weren't even there to begin with. The Stoic solution is to take a step back, prioritize communication, and address concerns directly rather than overcomplicating things with assumptions. By learning to stay grounded and focused on what is real and within our control, both men and women can avoid the paralyzing effects of overanalysis and foster a relationship built on clarity, trust, and mutual understanding. Chapter 5. Need for control. Balancing agency and acceptance. A strong desire for control can lead to frustration and stress, especially when life doesn't go as planned. Stoicism teaches that while we can control our actions and responses, we must accept that we cannot control everything around us. Trying to exert control over others or external circumstances often leads to dissatisfaction and inner turmoil. The Stoic perspective encourages focusing on cultivating personal agency, acting in alignment with our values and principles, while simultaneously letting go of the need to control the uncontrollable. By recognizing the limits of control, we can reduce anxiety and embrace life's uncertainties with calm and acceptance. In relationships, the need for control can manifest as trying to change or manipulate the other person to fit certain expectations, which can create tension and resentment. Stoicism encourages individuals to focus on controlling their own responses and behaviors rather than trying to micromanage every aspect of the relationship. By fostering mutual respect and acceptance, partners can build a healthier dynamic where both individuals are free to grow and evolve without fear of being constrained. In doing so, the relationship becomes one of shared understanding, not constant power struggles, allowing both individuals to find peace in what is within their control while accepting what they cannot change. Chapter 6. Sensitivity to criticism. Stoicism teaches that external opinions, whether positive or negative, should not dictate our sense of self. Sensitivity to criticism can be particularly challenging, as it often triggers emotional reactions that might cloud our judgment or self-esteem. The Stoic response to criticism is one of equanimity, accepting it with grace, whether it's constructive or not. Rather than reacting defensively or internalizing negative feedback, Stoicism encourages reflection on the intention behind the criticism and using it as a tool for personal growth. A Stoic sees criticism as an opportunity to improve and refine their character, not as an attack on their worth. In relationships, sensitivity to criticism can create misunderstandings and strain communication. If a person is overly defensive or takes every critique personally, it can prevent productive conversations and hinder emotional connection. Stoicism suggests practicing resilience and focusing on the objective nature of the feedback, rather than allowing emotions to take control. By fostering a mindset that views criticism as a neutral tool for self-improvement, both men and women can approach feedback with openness and humility. This helps build stronger, more constructive interactions and promotes mutual growth and understanding. Chapter 7. Fear of conflict. The desire for harmony. The Stoic approach to conflict is one of acceptance and reason, not avoidance. Fear of conflict can arise from a desire to maintain peace at all costs. But Stoicism teaches that conflict is an inevitable part of life and should be approached with composure and rationality. Rather than fearing conflict or avoiding it altogether, Stoics embrace it as an opportunity for growth and understanding. The key is not in the absence of disagreement, but in how we handle it, responding with patience, fairness, and an open mind. By focusing on the virtues of wisdom and justice, we can engage in conflict constructively, without letting emotions or ego cloud our judgment. In relationships, the fear of conflict can lead to suppressed feelings, misunderstandings, and unspoken resentment. When individuals avoid difficult conversations to keep the peace, the underlying issues often remain unresolved, leading to further tension down the road. The Stoic perspective suggests that healthy conflict is essential for growth and deeper understanding. It's not about avoiding conflict, but about learning to address disagreements with respect, clarity, and empathy. By practicing calm and measured responses, both men and women can navigate conflicts with a sense of cooperation and mutual respect, turning potential disagreements into opportunities to strengthen the bond and understanding between them. Chapter 8. Self-doubt and imposter syndrome. Self-doubt and imposter syndrome are common challenges that can hold individuals back from fully embracing their potential. Stoicism teaches that self-worth should not be based on external validation or fleeting feelings of inadequacy. Instead, it emphasizes focusing on one's actions, virtues, and the process of continual growth. A Stoic acknowledges that doubt is a natural part of the human experience, but doesn't let it hinder progress. By accepting that perfection is unattainable and that mistakes are valuable learning experiences, individuals can overcome self-doubt and cultivate confidence in their abilities, grounded in reason and virtue. In relationships and personal growth, imposter syndrome can prevent individuals from fully stepping into their potential, as they may feel unworthy or undeserving of success or affection. The Stoic approach encourages embracing one's strengths and shortcomings with humility, understanding that everyone is constantly evolving. By focusing on what can be controlled, our efforts, intentions, and values, individuals can silence the inner critic and trust in their capacity to contribute meaningfully. This mindset not only builds self-assurance, but also fosters healthier, more authentic connections with others, where vulnerability and growth are met with understanding, not fear of inadequacy. Chapter 9. Emotional dependence. Seeking external solutions for internal struggles. Emotional dependence occurs when individuals rely on others to fulfill their emotional needs or solve their internal struggles. Stoicism teaches that true peace and contentment come from within, not from external sources. A Stoic recognizes that while relationships can provide support and companionship, emotional well-being should ultimately be rooted in self-sufficiency and self-awareness. Instead of relying on others to fix feelings of sadness, anxiety, or insecurity, Stoicism encourages individuals to develop emotional resilience by cultivating inner strength, practicing mindfulness, and understanding that emotions, like all things, are transient. This empowers individuals to navigate challenges with greater equanimity and independence. In relationships, emotional dependence can create an imbalance where one partner feels overwhelmed by the responsibility of fixing or constantly reassuring the other. This dynamic can lead to resentment or an unhealthy attachment. The Stoic approach, however, emphasizes the importance of self-reflection and personal growth. Both partners are encouraged to work on their own emotional resilience and recognize that while love and support are vital, each person must ultimately take responsibility for their emotional well-being. By fostering a sense of emotional independence, relationships become more balanced, with both partners contributing to each other's growth while respecting their individual journeys. Chapter 10. High expectations. The disappointment of unrealistic standards. Stoicism teaches that setting unrealistic expectations for ourselves or others can lead to inevitable disappointment. Life is full of uncertainties, and when we expect things to unfold perfectly or according to a specific plan, we set ourselves up for frustration. The Stoic approach encourages a realistic perspective, understanding that things may not always go as we hope, and accepting that imperfections are part of the human experience. Instead of fixating on ideal outcomes, Stoics focus on doing their best in any situation, embracing the process rather than obsessing over the results. By adjusting expectations to be more in line with reality, we can reduce unnecessary suffering and maintain peace of mind. In relationships, unrealistic expectations can create tension, as both partners may feel unable to meet each other's idealized standards. This can lead to disappointment, resentment, and a sense of failure. The Stoic perspective emphasizes the importance of accepting people and situations as they are, rather than holding out for a perfect version of reality. By practicing patience and understanding, both individuals can approach relationships with a sense of gratitude and flexibility, allowing space for growth, imperfection, and mutual respect. With more balanced expectations, couples can experience deeper connection and fulfillment, grounded in the understanding that perfection is neither possible nor necessary. Conclusion. While the top 10 female weaknesses. Every man must know might seem like a list of flaws. A Stoic approach challenges us to view them not as weaknesses, but as areas of human experience where growth and understanding can thrive. Stoicism teaches that we all have vulnerabilities, and it is through self-awareness, emotional resilience, and self-control that we cultivate strength. Whether it's emotional reactivity, fear of rejection, or sensitivity to criticism, each of these challenges offers an opportunity for growth, both individually and within relationships. By recognizing these tendencies without judgment and applying Stoic wisdom, we can navigate relationships with greater empathy, patience, and mutual respect. The key takeaway is that Stoicism encourages both men and women to focus on what they can control, their own responses, attitudes, and behaviors. Rather than falling into the trap of unrealistic expectations or emotional dependence, Stoics foster an attitude of acceptance and wisdom. By embracing imperfections, practicing emotional resilience, and approaching conflict with reason, relationships can become a source of growth, connection, and shared understanding. Ultimately, Stoic philosophy teaches that true strength lies in the ability to respond with virtue and wisdom, turning potential weaknesses into opportunities for deeper, more meaningful relationships.